Strap in, because this isn't just any race. It's a fight for survival, framed for murder, thrown into a brutal prison, and forced to compete in a deadly race where only one survives. Explosions, high-speed chaos, and a warden with a deadly secret. Will Jensen Ames escape or die trying? Let's rewind and review Death Race. Hey there, movie lovers. Welcome to Rewind and Review, your go-to channel for thrilling movie recaps that take you straight into the heart of the story, without the spoilers. Whether you're craving a quick refresher or discovering a film for the first time, we've got you covered. From Hollywood blockbusters to hidden gems, we'll walk you through the twists, turns, and everything in between. So, whether you're a casual viewer or a hardcore movie buff, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because you won't want to miss a single recap. We drop new videos every week, and trust me, there's always something new to discover. This is Rewind and Review, where we take movies to the next level. Welcome to Terminal Island, the deadliest prison in America. Here, justice isn't served in a courtroom, it's settled on the track. This is Death Race, a brutal, high-speed battle where prisoners fight for their freedom, armed with machine guns, armor-plated vehicles, and only one rule: survive. The reigning champion, Frankenstein, explodes off the starting line in his monstrous black Mustang, his face hidden behind a steel mask, his reputation built on destruction. But hot on his tail is none other than Machine Gun Joe, a ruthless driver with a deadly grudge and no intention of finishing second. Frankenstein weaves through the chaos, dodging missiles and laying waste to his competition. But Frankenstein, he's calm, too calm. He knows something his co-driver doesn't. Without warning, a hidden mechanism clicks. The seat beneath Frankenstein's co-driver suddenly launches upward, sending her flying into the air. We open on Jensen Ames, a former race car driver trying to make ends meet in a crumbling economy. Working in a steel mill, tensions are high, and frustration boils over into a full-blown riot. Chaos erupts as workers clash with heavily armed riot police. Jensen tries to keep his head down, but when he's forced into the fight, Jensen returns home to his loving wife and infant daughter, hoping for a fresh start, but that peace is short-lived. Later that night, a masked intruder breaks in, attacking Jensen before turning to his wife. Helpless, Jensen watches in horror as she is brutally murdered. The killer plants the weapon in Jensen's hand, framing him for the crime. Moments later, the police storm in, finding him over his wife's lifeless body. With no way to prove his innocence, Jensen is arrested, his life shattered in an instant. Falsely accused and stripped of his freedom, Jensen Ames arrives at Terminal Island, a brutal prison where survival is a daily battle. From the moment he steps off the bus, it's clear, this isn't just a prison, it's a war zone. And the warden, Hennessy, watches like a predator eyeing prey. Thrown into a grimy cell, he's met with hostility and the harsh reality of his new life. The guards watch coldly, his survival depends on playing their deadly game. But not everyone is rolling out the welcome mat. Enter 𝐾𝐨𝐺, a ruthless inmate with a mean streak. It doesn't take long for tensions to boil over. Words are exchanged, then fists, and before you know it, boom, a full-blown brawl breaks out in the yard. Jensen holds his own, but it's clear 𝐾𝐨𝐺 isn't just some low-level thug, he's dangerous. The guards step in, violently shutting it down, and dragging Jensen off to face the consequences. Enter Warden Hennessy, the cold and calculating ruler of Terminal Island, played by the legendary Joan Allen. She wastes no time getting to the point. She wants Jensen to race. But this isn't just any race, it's the Death Race, a televised blood sport where inmates drive heavily armed cars in a fight to the death. The reward? Win 5 races and you walk free. Of course, there's a catch. Hennessy needs Jensen to replace Frankenstein, the fan-favorite racer who recently died, but whose masked identity lives on. Decline the offer, and life in prison just got a whole lot worse. With no real choice, Jensen reluctantly agrees. With his fate sealed, Jensen is introduced to his new team. First up, we meet Coach, played by Ian McShane, a veteran mechanic who knows the game better than anyone. Then there's Gunner, the weapons specialist, and Lists. Jensen lays eyes on his new ride, the Monster. A heavily armoured Ford Mustang GT, equipped with twin miniguns, a rear-mounted smokescreen, and a deadly napalm defense system. One key scene sees Jensen Ames in the prison courtyard, where he meets Coach, his pit crew leader. Coach gives him the rundown on his deadly competition. First up, 14K, a triad member with 10 wins under his belt, as deadly with strategy as he is behind the wheel. Then there's Grim, a monstrous racer who wears a Reaper mask, embodying the death he brings to the track. Lastly, there's 𝐾𝐨𝐤𝐿, a brutal, sadistic driver who doesn't just race, he plays dirty. Before Jensen can take it all in, he meets Machine Gun Joe, the reigning racer who doesn't take kindly to new blood. Joe sizes him up with a cold, menacing stare, making it clear, this isn't just a race, it's survival. Jensen Ames steps into his heavily armoured Mustang, a beast equipped with napalm, spikes, and enough firepower to turn his enemies into roadkill. A prison bus rumbles through the gates carrying a group of new arrivals. The doors creak open, and a line of female inmates steps out, their expressions hardened by the brutal environment. Among them is 𝐾𝐨𝐧'𝐭, her posture confident as she surveys the yard. The atmosphere is tense, filled with grease, metal, and the hum of engines. That's when he meets 𝐾𝐨𝐧'𝐿, his assigned co-driver. She leans against a Mustang, arms crossed, sizing him up. 𝐾𝐨𝐧'𝐿 smirks, unimpressed, assessing the new driver's potential. Jensen studies her, sensing there's more to her than meets the eye. She tosses him a set of keys, signaling that he needs to be ready for what's ahead. There's an unspoken understanding between them. They might not trust each other yet, but they're stuck together. Jensen knows he has to rely on 𝐾𝐨𝐴's knowledge of the track, and she in turn needs him to survive. As engines roar in the background, their uneasy alliance is forged in the crucible of death race. Jensen grips the wheel, his mind racing as fast as his car. The track is unforgiving, filled with traps and brutal competitors willing to do anything to win. He maneuvers through the chaos, dodging gunfire and weaving between wreckage. A hail of bullets pelts his vehicle, the reinforced armor barely holding. 𝐾𝐨𝐴 shouts instructions, directing him towards a safe route. He follows her lead, activating the car's defensive measures to shake off his attacker. A burst of napalm erupts behind him, taking out a rival car in a fiery explosion. The track narrows, forcing Jensen into a deadly game of high-speed chess. One wrong move, and it's over. 𝐾𝐨𝐴 continues feeding him vital information, her voice steady despite the carnage around them. 𝐶𝐤𝐵 speeds down the track in his BMW. Suddenly, the floor panel rises, metal spikes shooting up without warning. The impact is instant and brutal. 𝐶𝐤𝐵 gets caught in the spikes and gets crushed as the panel closes. Grim, a cocky driver who thinks he's untouchable, speeds alongside Jensen. He pushes his car to the limit, trying to edge past, but he underestimates the danger of the track. His car gets clipped, spirals out of control, and flips violently before crashing into the barriers. Flames engulf the wreckage. Grim is out of the race permanently, his overconfidence costing him his life. Jensen barely has time to register the crash before another racer attempts to take him out. Travis Colt pushes his car to the limit, determined to eliminate his competition. As he speeds through the track, bullets and fire rain down around him. He tries to gain the upper hand, but a devastating explosion from a pursuing vehicle engulfs his car in flames. He struggles to maintain control, but the inferno overtakes him. As he watches 𝐾𝐨𝐴's movements, it clicks. He recognizes the gun hand movements. It's the same gun-shooting hand movement on the man who murdered his wife. The realization is a gut punch. He was framed, and now the real killer is right in front of him. His suspicions about 𝐾𝐨𝐴 boil over, but he knows he has to bide his time. Revenge will come, but first, he has to stay alive. Warden Hennessy watches him closely, ever the puppet master in this deadly game. She calls Jensen to her office, her tone laced with manipulation. She presents him with an ultimatum: keep racing under the guise of Frankenstein, the masked legend of death race, or never see his daughter again. The weight of the decision presses down on him. He knows he's being played, but the thought of his daughter growing up without him is unbearable. Hennessy makes it clear that he isn't just racing for his freedom, he's racing for survival. She controls the game, and as long as Jensen is behind the wheel, she holds all the power. He clenches his fists, anger burning inside him. The only way out is to play along, for now. Jensen Ames stalks through the dimly lit corridors of the prison, his fists clenched as he searches for 𝐵𝐴𝐻𝐿. Without hesitation, Jensen charges at 𝐵𝐴𝐻𝐿, tackling him to the ground with sheer force. The surrounding prisoners gather, forming a brutal makeshift arena as fists start flying. As Jensen delivers a punishing blow to 𝐵𝐴𝐻𝐿's ribs, another inmate suddenly jumps in, wrapping chains around Jensen's neck, trying to strangle him. Gasping for breath, Jensen reaches out, grabbing a sharp scrap of metal from the ground and stabbing the inmate in the leg. The man howls in pain, releasing the chains as Jensen yanks them away, regaining control. Determined to finish the fight and end 𝐵𝐴𝐻𝐿, Jensen grabs 𝐵𝐴𝐻𝐿 and, with sheer force, throws him through a nearby tool shelf. Metal and equipment crash around them as 𝐵𝐴𝐻𝐿 collapses in the wreckage, groaning in pain. Guards storm in, tasers drawn, jolting both men with high-voltage shocks. The electric currents drop them instantly, their bodies convulsing on the cold floor. Stage 2 is about to begin, 𝐵𝐴𝐻𝐿 wants Jensen. As the countdown begins, the racers brace themselves. The green light flashes and the chaos erupts once more. The cars jolt forward, tires screeching, weapons armed. Bullets rain down as machine guns blaze, shredding through metal and flesh. The surviving racers maneuver through the carnage, dodging deadly obstacles designed to thin the competition. Jensen Ames spots 𝐵𝐴𝐻𝐿 ahead, weaving through, attempting to escape. The sight of him ignites a fury inside Jensen, his vision narrowing as he hits in pursuit after 𝐵𝐴𝐻𝐿. 𝐵𝐴𝐻𝐿 glances back, realizing he's being hunted, and picks up speed, shoving past inmates and obstacles. But Jensen is relentless, cutting through the chaos, closing the gap with every stride. 𝐵𝐴𝐻𝐿 reaches a dead end near the rusted remains of an old storage area. Jensen crashes into him. 𝐵𝐴𝐻𝐿's car flips over and crashes. Jensen seizes the opportunity to take out 𝐵𝐴𝐻𝐿 and leaves his car and heads over to 𝐵𝐴𝐻𝐿, who has exited his car. With a blazing hatred, Jensen snaps 𝐵𝐴𝐻𝐿's neck. Revenge has been served. Joe growls in frustration when his co-pilot. Enough is enough. Without hesitation, he boots open the passenger door and kicks his co-pilot out. Joe turns to the garage, scanning for a replacement, a young man frozen in fear. The mechanic hesitates, but he scrambles into the passenger seat, strapping in. A massive steel door groans open at the far end of the track. From the shadows, the battle Arctic tanker rolls out. A monstrous, heavily armored semi-truck, reinforced with thick plating and mounted with multiple high-caliber machine guns. The tanker moves like a predator, its turret-mounted gunners locked and loaded. The racers barely have time to react before a hail of bullets erupts from the tanker, shredding asphalt and metal alike. Tires burst, windshields shatter, and cars swerve violently to avoid the onslaught. One unlucky racer is caught in the spray, his vehicle torn apart in seconds before erupting into a fireball. Jensen Ames grips the wheel, weaving through the chaos as 𝐃𝐨𝐧'𝐭 shouts warnings. Machine gun Joe fires back with his mounted weapons, but the bullets barely dent the tanker's reinforced armor. The tanker roars forward, plowing through wreckage like a juggernaut, its gunners raining down relentless firepower. The battle tanker closes in on 14K's car. The side panel of the tanker opens a brutal, spinning drill. The drill rips through the passenger side, killing his co-pilot instantly. But the tanker isn't finished. From its rear, a set of spiked chains deploys. The chains hook onto 14K's car. With no escape, the tanker fires an explosive charge. The blast engulfs 14K's vehicle. His car flips, explodes, and kills 14K. The battle tanker barrels forward, its gunners still firing relentlessly at the remaining racers. Jensen Ames sees his opportunity. The death panel blockade is just ahead, a solid reinforced barrier designed to stop anything in its path. He swerves, leading the monstrous truck straight toward it. The tanker's driver realizes too late. The massive vehicle slams into the blockade at full speed, metal screeching as the front crumples on impact. The force sends the tanker into a catastrophic flip, its entire frame twisting as it soars through the air. As Jensen returns back to the prison as Frankenstein, the prison erupts. They favor him for being a champion. The inmates gather in the courtyard. The warden steps onto the platform, her cold gaze sweeping over the crowd. Jensen Ames stands among them, his instincts telling him something isn't right. As she speaks, distracting the prisoners, the prison supervisor heads to Jensen's car in the garage. Work quickly, planting a small but deadly explosive beneath the chassis. The timer is set. Once he starts the engine, there will be no turning back. The warden steps inside Jensen's cell, her cold, calculating eyes locking onto him. She lays it out. His freedom is an illusion. She wants him as Frankenstein permanently, the face of death race, an unbeatable spectacle for the world to watch. The warden's voice dripping with control, reminding him that escape isn't an option. She owns him. As she exits, Jensen's mind races. He must find a way out before he's trapped forever. The engines roar as the final race begins. Jensen Ames grips the wheel, knowing this is his last chance. Machine Gun Joe is at his side, ready for anything. The track is deadlier than ever, with traps and armed vehicles waiting at every turn. But the real danger lurks off the track. Escape or die trying. From her office, the warden watches with amusement, believing Jensen is still under her control. The prison supervisor stands by, his finger hovering over the detonation switch. Beneath Jensen's car, the bomb is armed, ready to end the race before he can cross the finish line. Jensen and Joe weave through the chaos, dodging gunfire and explosions. As they near the final stretch, the warden gives the order. The supervisor presses the detonator. A massive explosion erupts, but something goes wrong. Instead of destroying Jensen, the blast tears through a section of the outer wall, blowing open an exit. Smoke and fire fill the air as stunned prisoners realize their way out. Jensen doesn't hesitate. "Go," he shouts, slamming the gas pedal. Machine Gun Joe follows, and soon other racers seize their chance for freedom. Jensen, Machine Gun Joe tear through the prison wall, leaving destruction in their wake. The open road stretches ahead, but freedom won't come easy. Alarms blare as armored prison vehicles and helicopters launch in pursuit. Spotlights pierce the darkness, illuminating the escapees. Gunfire erupts from above, bullets ripping through the asphalt. Machine Gun Joe retaliates, firing back at the pursuing vehicles. They fire at Machine Gun Joe and kills his co-pilot. Speeding towards a bridge, the racers know it's now or never. The only way out is forward, no matter the cost. With the prison fading behind them, they push their engines to the limit, determined to outrun death itself. The warden eyes the unmarked package on her desk, curiosity piqued. The prison supervisor stands beside her as she lifts the lid. A beep sounds, too late. From afar, Coach smirks, pressing a remote detonator. The office erupts into flames, consuming them both in a fiery end. In a quiet garage, Jensen with his little girl in his arms and Machine Gun Joe are together at an auto garage. 𝐾𝐨𝐧'𝐭 approaches in her car, engine humming as she pulls up. The door opens, she steps out, a knowing smile on her face. They made it. They're free. And this time, it's real. That's it for this recap. If you enjoyed it, leave a comment, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more epic movie breakdowns. Stay safe and see you next time.